Real quick, this is my alt channel, and my main channel is in danger every day of getting banned as a result of talking with these amazing people very candidly. So please do me a favor and subscribe down below. Helps me out a lot. Get the hell on it, doggone it.
J.K. Rowling is under threat of being imprisoned. What a world we live in, man. It's pretty fun to watch. Look, as a person that lives in the US that gets to benefit from the freedom of speech within reason. Okay. Within reason, I lurk while I work. Hell yeah. So as somebody that gets to benefit from the freedom of speech, it's fun to watch other countries go crazy. Okay. Crazy. That sounds terrifying, Garviel. Absolutely terrifying. Pump shit through my damn nasal cavity. You crazy as hell. So it says J.K. Rowling could be investigated and arrested by Scottish authorities for misgendering people. Damn, imagine living in Scotland. Scotland has introduced a new hate crime and public order act where calling someone a he, even if they're biological male, could be a criminal offense. Great. Rowling is now taunting authorities to arrest her as she refuses to back down on her opinions on transgenderism. She says, I'm currently out of the country, but if what I've written here qualifies as an offense under the terms of the new act, I look forward to being arrested when I return to my birthplace of the Scottish Enlightenment. The maximum penalty under the new act is 7 years in prison. 7 years in prison. Just for a moment, I want you to ask yourself, how many years, now look, different state, country, I get it. How many years did Joseph Rosenbaum spend in prison for brutally penetrating and assaulting 5 children under the age of, the guy that celebrities defend because the Kyle Rittenhouse thing? Poor JoJo. I mean, obviously celebrities are going to defend that. That's what celebrities do. Look at the Nickelodeon documentary. Joseph Rosenbaum, for brutally assaulting and penetrating 5-year-old and under, served 12 years in prison. In Scotland, you can get 7 for calling someone a he if they don't want to be called a he. Imagine that. Thank the Lord for the country we live in. And by that, I mean the U.S., where I live. Look, we may have our issues, but I can call somebody a bitch tit motherfucker to their face in America. I could call someone, I'm not going to say anything crazy, but I could call some crazy shit. There's a lot of stuff going through my head. I'm like, wait a second. I probably shouldn't say this stuff. Scotland is wild. But luckily, being in Alabama, I can say whatever the hell I want because, luckily, Alabama and the U.S. and freedom of speech. But that doesn't exist in the U.K. And there's people being jailed every single day over this shit in the U.K. What was it? What happened to Spank-A-Lot? Oh, shit. What is his name? What's the Scottish guy that his dog did a Nazi salute and he got in trouble for it? You guys remember his Spank-A-Lot, Skank-A-Lot, Hank-A-Lot, Sir Jank-A-Lot? What is his name? You guys know. It's a Scottish dude. Anyways, Dank. Yeah, Count Dankula. There you go. Sir Dank-A-Lot. Count Dankula did that. His dog did a motion that kind of whatever does this thing, this Nazi salute, whatever you want to call it. And he got in trouble for it. There are people getting questioned for commenting in a comment section on Instagram in the UK. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And Crazy Delivery Guy says Alex Jones begs to differ on that free speech. No, I agree. That's why I say within reason. Within reason. Obviously, in the US, you can't walk up to somebody in public and just call them the N-word. You're probably going to something's going to happen. Yeah, but no, you're going to get your ass kicked by 900 people. But other than that, you'll probably get charged as well. There was that family that were being real dumb. It was a man and a woman, and there was a birthday party or something, and they called the people at the birthday party over a fence like racial slurs, and they went to prison for it. But there was some kind of law broken, but it was because they said the N-word. Like, let's be honest. So it's within reason, right? But I feel like no one. There's some things that if you're gonna go up to somebody and call them a slur to their fucking face, you're probably a 13-year-old edgy kid, because that's not fun. It's supposed to be fun, like funny. And if it's not funny, it doesn't really make much sense to do it. So, but anyways, yeah, within reason. Let me wipe my nose. I'm like talking while my nose is running, and I have to like. So that's a funny story. Kyle Larson said the N-word on iRacing, I think, right? And he got. Now look, technically, he didn't get like kicked out of NASCAR or something. It's just his NASCAR pressured the team he was on to fire him. So that's what happened. And they would do that, and they still do that to this day. So that's not out of the normal for them. That's what they do. You know, I mean, NASCAR's a giant corporation, and every single giant corporation on the face of the earth has to align with left values or die. Was it Klaus Schwab that said that? So, or said something to that. There was something else in here that I was reading. It says this law isn't just for misgendering people. If it hurts someone's feelings, anything you can say can be used against you and considered a crime. It says the Hate Crime in Public Order Scotland Act 2021 creates a new crime of stirring up hatred relating to age, disability, religion, sexual orientation, transgender identity, or being intersex. So basically, you can say anything. If anything can even be misconstrued as something that could hurt somebody's feelings, you could go to jail. So this is just a slippery slope thing, right? This is why the freedom of speech exists in America. Because who decides what is bannable speech and what is hate speech? This is the thing that no one can answer, right? Because, and people, for some odd reason, people on the left find themselves like being for this more often, right? And I don't really understand why. Because if that's the case, then who determines what is hateful? So let's do a hypothetical situation for the chat real quick. What if America, they go back and get rid of the First Amendment, and they determine that hate speech is a jailable offense, and it starts off reasonable, right? So, like, okay, if you run up to somebody and you call them the N-word or something, then maybe there could be some consequences, like, you know, you get a warning, or maybe you can get some probation. You know, it starts off like very, very reasonable, which, to be fair, I don't even think that's reasonable, obviously. But this is what people would think is reasonable, that support it. All roads are paved to hell with good intention, right? So suddenly, someone else comes into power, right? And that new person that comes into power is on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to politics. And guess what precedent you set? Because people, for some reason, on the left wanted it. And obviously, I'm generalizing. Not all of them are like that. Probably a small percentage of them. So what happens, right? When somebody from the opposite end of the spectrum comes in, suddenly you're being jailed for shit. And you're like, what? This was not supposed to affect me. This is supposed to affect those people. Right? It's why I'm not for any restrictions on gun ownership at all. Right? And I used to kind of be, you know, open to the idea, but then I was talking to Nick, and he kind of told me this like way of thought, and maybe understand it. Because if for some reason the left was like, we're going to put some gun laws in place where somebody that has said this on social media, you can't buy a gun, or somebody that has this condition can't buy a gun, or something like that, then suddenly somebody on the extreme right comes into power 20 years down the road, 16 years down the road. Suddenly, no one in the LGBTQ community can buy a gun anymore. New law. Because the amendment's been ratified. Right? So that's the issue. People don't realize that when you're for more government control, it may work in your benefit for a year or 2 or 3 while the people that you like are in power, but as soon as somebody else comes into power that you don't like, they can use those same laws that you overturned on your ass. That's the issue. So no one should be for it.